It was a crazy morning. It was reminiscent of that day in Tokyo, which was also a very early morning as people were
Right.
waking up the first day that she was dealing with the twisties. It was a different situation, but it was hard watching it unfold live. You saw her basically, it was the team started on balance beam and then moved to the floor. And while she was warming up for the floor exercise, she injured her calf. And you see her talking to the trainer and sitting in a chair, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Like, how seriously do we need to take this? And then she was really limping pretty badly to the point that it was like, oh my God, like this feels like it could be a major injury. And again, I've said, we don't watch gymnastics that often. I watch the trials and I watch every time the Olympics come around, but not knowing, like, is that a normal amount of tape on someone's ankle, or is
Right.
this, how serious is this? And then she, not just the tape, but then between, because after the floor they did the uneven bars and then the vault, I believe, was last, and she was like limping around. She was crawling at one
The
point, which
crawling was
which
was outrageous.
may have been a joke. It was kind of hard to tell, but it was just like a strange scene because she was also smiling and laughing with her teammates. But anyway, she did great. And she finished first in the all around. It was the women's qualification, and so she and Suni Lee, who of course we talked about, they are both all around gold medalists. Simone Biles did that in Rio in 2016, Suni Lee in Tokyo, and the two of them both qualified in advance. That was actually dramatic too. Even putting aside all the injury stuff, it came down to the last event where
Right.
Jordan Childs was ahead of Suni Lee, and then Suni Lee passed Jordan Childs because of this two per country rule, where only two from each country are allowed to participate in the all around individual final. So knowing Simone Biles, if she's healthy, is going to get one of those spots, it's a big competition for the other one. And so it goes to Suni Lee, who's going to have a chance to defend her crown. It's a bummer for Jordan Childs. But it was a tough day elsewhere. I mean, Jade Carey, who won gold on the floor exercise in Tokyo, she fell and she didn't qualify there.
Mm.
So we'll have a full slate of gymnastics in the individual medal round. Simone Biles qualified on everything except for the uneven bars, which I believe is the one she was least likely to, least expected to. So she'll have a chance to go for several medals. She'll be in the all around. You just hope she's healthy, but she seemed to gut through it. I don't know what exactly the injury is. I don't think she talked afterward, and so sometimes something can swell up or hurt more a day after, but she toughed it out. And her routines have such a high degree of difficulty that she can
Right.
she can tone it down and do something that's not as daring and still get a really high score because
Yeah.
she just has that much cushion over what anyone else in the field is doing.
Yeah. So her coach did speak and said that it was a minor issue. So this is a quote from Cecile Landy. Quote: "She felt a little something in her calf, but yeah, that's all." So she said, "Yeah, it's minor. Obviously, you don't want any kind of injury going into an Olympic medal event, but from what it sounds like, it's basically the news is as good as it can be."
Yeah, I mean, also, like, how many times have we heard coaches talk about injuries? Like, if it was bad,
Sure.
like, I'm sure they would say it's minor. And, that's what the coach is always going to say. No,
Sure.
I don't have any reason to think that that's not the case here, but it's also like, what's she going to say?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big story that we'll be following for sure, every time we see her. And I don't know what the practice schedule looks like or how much of that is public or private, but if anyone gets to see her warm up or if any news comes out, I'm sure everyone's going to be following that
Yes.
every chance they get.